Колеги журналісти, вітаємо вас в українському.
Dear colleagues journalists, we welcome you in our Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. We keep on working, and now is our press briefing of Acting Director of the State Enterprise Ukrenergo, Vsevolod Kovalchuk. He will tell us about transparent public procurement and reducing corruption risk in Ukrenergo and reducing of the cost of this company. Vsevolod, the floor is yours. Can you hear me? Let's try. I met some of you already. We promise you to see each other every month. Unfortunately, we can't do it so far because this period was very difficult for us. You know about it. You know the situation about energy supply to Crimea is one of the actual topics. It takes most of our time, and it bothered many of our plans because the management and the employees in the regions were involved into this process. But still, on the 8th of October, on my first week on working on this position, we had a press conference in Ukrenergo. Some of you were there. And that time I declared the changes I wanted to do in Ukrenergo. After 2 months, according to my point of view, according to the opinion of my colleagues who are working on it, we have something to report you. Here you can see just this aesthetical point of view, in fact, what was done during this period. First of all, to achieve the transparency and openness for the people who are outside our company, I mean our suppliers, our contractors, we need to put in order our purchase procedure. Where did we start? First of all, with the help of the orders that were signed from the very beginning, we provided the transparency of our tender documentation. I don't mean tender bids that were published openly always. I mean the feedback on all technical issues, on the possibility to get advices and other issues. My aim was to put tender committees in order. What did I do? We announced internal competition in the company among those who wanted to be the member of this committee. The main condition to define the people was to minimize the number of the management, as our structure is very big. We have about 12-14 departments. Any of them has their own tender committee. So to minimize the management of these units, first one, not to have personal influence. Second, to let people to devote more time to their main functions and to be busy less with their commercial activities. We were selected for a few weeks with the involvement of the Security Service of Ukraine, with the involvement of our anti-corruption specialists, internal specialists that we have in Ukrenergo. We were checking declarations. Everybody who wanted to be the part of the tender committee, according to the anti-corruption legislations, prepared declaration. We checked them. Also, they signed confidential agreements. This week, we signed the order about the composition of tender committees. We have 13 committees, 9 members in each. All their functions are described. There are representatives from the accounting department, technical department, finance department, so on and so forth. The heads of the committee won't be the managers. The number of managers is 1. Only in one case we have more managers. Mainly the members of the committees are employees of Ukrenergo. Also, we, together with our trade union, change the committee and we gave them bonuses that compensate them the time they are devoting to the committees to make this position more interesting for them. About transparency and openness of these committees, we started from the 4th of December this year on the example of one of the most interesting tenders for the purchase of transformers. First, now we involve just one committee from the 1st of January. This order will be fulfilled by all the committees. We prohibited to make meetings except for extraordinary situations. All the rooms for the committees were equipped by IP video cameras with quality mics. Absolutely all meetings of the committees are recorded and they're kept during 1 year. It will be required if there is some investigation or to control the activities of the committees, but online translations are provided just for the most important meetings, and it would be possible to ask for these records if needed. Any meetings of any committee can be published then. There will be one more presentation. We made new portal of purchase, and there are all types of purchase are consolidated. According to the law about state purchase, we make our activity according to the figures above 5 million for the goods and services. For the goods and services, more than 1 million. That are published at the website of state purchase, and to ease navigation we made on our own portal special system allowing very easy and quick search of any purchase of Ukrenergo, not depending on the stage. Is it planned, published already, or you want to see the results? Also, we added form of authorization of all potential participants. At the moment, we collected information about more than 400 companies that want to participate in purchase procedure of Ukrenergo, and most of them, after checking their contact data, automatically get emails on every purchase we are making. Regarding Prozoro system, we joined in April. All the purchases are in Prozoro platform already. To make the search easier, and during 1 month, I mean the first month of the next year, all purchase will go to Prozoro platform, not depending on the complexity and type of the works required. About economical effects we achieved already. Can somebody move me to the next slide, please? Maybe I will give you a report in order. Very big part of job was in organizing more available and clear procedures for people. We made a lot of work with counter agents that we have at that moment in Ukrenergo. Please look at the figures. For the first 3 quarters of this year, we made agreements for the total amount more than 690 million hryvnia. From the time we started this work, from 8th of October, we signed 326 additional agreements to reduce the prices. Personal talks were made with all our suppliers and contractors without reduction of physical volume of supply, without losses of any functional component of the built object. We signed additional agreements for the amount of 149 million hryvnia, 26% from the average cost of these agreements. company won't waste this money that could be wasted if we haven't done this job. There are excesses that are now in all accounting sheets that we organized already. Any counter agent didn't feel power effect from us. We didn't block their payments. We didn't block the execution of the work. There was the works with the consciousness of these counter agents. We did it. By these contracts, we foresee the payment period 150 days. But with those counter agents who understood us, we gave them 5 to 20 days of payment period. Regarding the contracts, with the equipment, including the risks and there are foreseen more down payments within the contract. Now the down payment for the imported components of the supplied equipment is completely fine for our contractors. And in the fourth quarter, next slide please, we could finish the procedures for 145 million hryvnia. That was expected cost according to the purchase plan. According to the cost of the contract included, it's 123 million hryvnia. It's 15% saving. When we are talking about expected cost, it is taken according to the accounting sheet accepted. And some of these projects were concluded in 2012, 2013. So I want to say we didn't adjust this cost. Even from the prices that were put 1 year or 2 years ago, we could save 15% saving, notwithstanding currency exchange fluctuations. And for today, we saved 170 million hryvnia, and we took this money from the investment program, and company tariff was reduced as for the December this year for the money we saved in the result of this work.
It was done voluntarily without address to these bodies. And also, I would like to stress the main things due to which we are able to reach real saving. We conducted negotiations with our contractors, and this is hand mechanism of management, and it is impossible to use it in the long run. It's unclear and non-transparent if we are speaking about when you choose a contractor and then you conduct a tender. It's not correct. And these were the measures to prevent overspending. What about new tenders? A new mechanism, regardless of countries and states, that will allow to legitimately and objectively get the best price is the increase of competition. Tenders for transformers. So maybe you were interested in this topic. You saw publications on this process. And in the first half of this year, they started the procurement for 2 million hryvnias, and there were 2 participants, and only in one tender there were 3 participants. These contracts were not concluded, and there were different grounds for this. In connection with different tenders, and some documents were improperly prepared, And in September, the work was started, and I had this work. At the day of my appointment, we announced a new tender with the qualification, and we gathered all the demands of the system in one. And we continued this proposal and got the proposals and complaints from participants, and we provided a lot of explanations, and 9 participants came, and we expected more, of course. We expected more in accordance with what we got, and it's for this closed market, it's a victory for this scandal process. And there was a lot of attention to this process, and those who know the situation, and they see that there are many obstacles for taking part in this tender. And 4 participants underwent qualification, and we hope that all 4 who underwent pre-qualification. These are ABB, Siemens, Zaporizhzhia, and Dow, and Quant Service, and Elgin, and this, and we expect price proposition on the 28th. And those propositions that were before, they also went into the tender, and they say that the expected value was formed according to those procedures that I envisaged. So the prices were established in the program. We can consider why that was done so, but the expected value was included in this program, but it doesn't mean that this will be the final price. So the competition among these 4 independent participants guarantee a market price, and we hope that this price will be lower. But it's very difficult to make some forecasts about it, because there are different circumstances in the market, and all this is really relative. But on the 28th, you may see who will come, and you can see this procedure. We are going to end this procedure this year. The average number was about 2.5, and because there were different types, and no matter what sum was, only the smallest procurement, maybe 4 or 5 participants. And if we're speaking about our mainstream equipment and our partners, there were 2 participants, and this the law on procurement is not satisfactory. Every participant should always contractors came in pairs, not only in Ukrenergo, but in different enterprises. So there were no price competition, because 2 participants knew the price from the start. And we also find often in documentation of the companies who want to take part in the tender, they prepare the documents and several weeks before the tender, so they know this information beforehand. You can get official information from our site, and all our specific works connected with primary equipment or relay protection or automatization equipment. We have a lot of participants, and we have a price gap for or 40%, for example, 40% difference in price. So if we see each tender, the average price is, for example, 3 million hryvnias for small tender, and there are, for example, 1.5 million. So the competition can provide a transparent price, and the national currency is not stable, and we from the start we calculate the price, and we allow some advance payments, and it can be it helps people to avoid risks, and when the final payment will be done, people are not afraid that they risk to lose their money. We also provided, we also established a site. We have a direct address, and we are going to popularize it through the media with your help. And Ukrenergo site, we have different categories, for example, procurement category, internal procurement. Internal procurement, or domestic procurement. So, it looks like this. We publish the announcement, and then it's very difficult to find it in several days, because it's if you don't have inside information so about the tender, it's very difficult to find the information. And if you follow the manual on procurement, you can get the information. But all we created a site, a procurement platform. This is a new site. It was done during the month by our own forces. And the principle is very simple. So you can choose any department of the company, and you can choose the procedures that are planned to be announced. And before the announcement is made, you can look through the information with the expected value, everything that will be bought by Ukrenergo until the end of the year. And during this month, all this procurement will be announced with the expected value and the type of procedure. And in our site, you can get all this information, and we follow the we publicize all the necessary information on our site, and you can see the information what will be announced in Ukrenergo till the end of this year. So you see procurement for different sums of money, and then you can follow another link and go to announced procurements, and you can find also here some divisions. And all these announcements on procurement, you can find information about whether they are and every procurement that was announced, you can follow through to the tender platform and see the information there. Or you can find the information about procurement by typing the date of this procurement, and you will see the information. So here you may see e-tender, and you can find information there. But you can go to centralized platform that will be publicized, and you can get all the necessary information about the tenders, starting from 10,000 hryvnias, and you can find information and all the stages of procedures. You can choose the date, and then you can get the information on personal details about every member of tender committee. There will be also the information about heads and secretaries, and also we see here information that helps all contractors who can take information, for example, on a building or procurement or supply of some type of products, and all the information will be provided. And there's also complaints. These are not complaints that are envisaged by the law on procurement. Of course, this is done a long time ago, but these are personalized complaints, and we see the register of these complaints. This is the first day, and these are complaints on procedures or officials. And automatically these complaints go to 3 addresses. They are obtained by our organization, and also prosecutor's office, and also this complaint go personally to me, so I can see what happens. And now all the people can complete the form, and I wrote a complaint myself for testing of the site. I made complaint about my own employees, that they delay the procedures of procurement. So now you can see a form. You should complain, and you can complain on individual, and you should define the division, the procedure, and an individual who infringes your rights.
That's what we did up to now. What are we gonna do in the nearest weeks? First of all, for the management department, in the same way, we will make a competition to take the positions of the members of tender committee, but in difference with our branches in the regions, we are planning to make professional positions of the head of the committee, of the secretary of the committee. We want it to be their full-time job. And it will be public announcement of these positions, the head of the committees. Unfortunately, this position can't be in the mailing list of the company, but we will call him advisor to the general director, and we will appoint him as the head of the main tender committee of the administration that will be dealing with the main purchasing, 20 million hryvnia and higher. They will be make in this department. This competition will be open. It will last for 1 month and a half. I'm inviting all the people who consider themselves effective enough to work at the salary 10-15 hryvnia a month, and we need them to have deep internal inspirational motivation. and the absence of experience in state purchases will be a must for this position. So any person who can't prove that they never worked more than 6 months, because these situations happen. Somebody comes, sees the principles, and he can't stand these principles that were existing in the most of the company and still exist, and they fire. I know a few people like that personally. I also had personal conflict a few years ago because of these problems. But if somebody works for more than 6 months in the state enterprise or in the central body of the regional of some administration, this person can't take this position. Among the members of the tender committees, there won't be managers or deputy directors or the heads of the key departments. The people will be selected to other positions. Their number will be limited. According to the law, there are 5 of them. We will make 9-10 people in the committees. 2 positions will be selected publicly. I mean the head and the secretary of the committee. We prefer the people outside the company, but if there will be employees of the company, they should leave their main position and go to this position as their full-time job. And other 6-7 members will be selected most probably from the employees of the company, but we will select them according to their profession. We want specialists from finance and economic department to be present in this committee, and corresponding technical specialties that we have. I'm planning till the middle of the February to make it and to make this advisory committee maximum independent. Of course, it depends because we can't say about full independence, because there will be salaries, there will be duties. But still, I will try to make the head of the committee of tender bids to be independent even from me, the head of this company. So I invite the people who want to change the scheme of the state purchases. We will place this announcement on the website of Ukrenergo. We will place it also on the recruitment websites as a vacancy. And also it will be distributed through media because we want to have a wide competition. That's all that I wanted to tell you today. In 2 months, we will have the next report on these issues. Thank you, Vsevolod. Any questions? But could you please introduce yourself? Ukraine channel, Alla Chish. About this transformers tender, could you please comment the statement of Mr. German, who told that there are 5 participants, but 2 out of them are affiliated with Konstantin Grigorishin. Hyundai doesn't participate in the competition at all, but Hyundai sells transformer to the 50 countries of the world. Where is the transparency in these examples? Me and Mr. Geras, we discussed it on Facebook chat. We can see the manipulation of the opinion of the people who don't really understand the purchase process and the purchase of the transformer. Hyundai didn't have request to participate in the tender for transformer. That's why we couldn't refuse them, because we didn't have requests from them. We have qualification requirements to the participants of the tender, not to the producers of the productions that they represent. Based on the logics in the comments of Mr. Geras, we have the pictures as following: that any legal entity or small enterprise, they get letter from the producer. Let's take General Electric, for example. Maybe now it will be the major supplier of the transformers. So they come, and in tenders there is a qualification requirement to the participants. Their annual turnover should be 300 million a year. But if they're small enterprise, for example, if their turnover is 190 millions, It means it doesn't correspond to qualification criteria, and it doesn't mean how popular or well-famous producer he can propose. We should decline his proposal. That's what not Hyundai was declined. There was small enterprise cloud service. They gave their request. And there is a small enterprise that have limitation about the maximum profit they can make. And primarily the requirements of the tender told that that there should be some other form of legal entity or LLC or, for example, or some other form of the legal entity, but not this one. And notwithstanding some additional comments, but there are comments to every participant of the tender because we are trying to make this tender as informal as possible. So we had a lot of remarks to this participant, to other participants. Tender committee decided these comments are minor, they don't influence to the decision, but finance parameters is one of the key parameters, and if the enterprise doesn't correspond to these requirements, they can't participate. If Hyundai or Deo, for example, they don't present their own products, they represent the product somebody else, but Deo is the official representative of all Korean producers. Hyosung, for example, Hyundai, LG Electronics, all them are presented by Deo. Why Hyundai, represented by their factory in Bulgaria, selected this small enterprise? We don't know. We can't tell you. Maybe it was somebody else's choice. But in any case, to tell about the declining of Ukrenergo by Hyundai proposal it's not true. Use the mic, please. I'm very pleased you got official comment of BB company about the affiliation with this person, but I know that the director of this company was working in the company of one of the company of Mr. Grigorishin. I think we could find hundreds of connections like this one, but I don't think it can tell us about his possible affiliation. And I know for sure that the big manufacturers are like that. The prices are not formed in Ukraine. They get ready prices. They just put some additional margin into this price, 20-25%, I'm not sure. By I mean this price, it's approved by head office, so the manager of the local branch has no possibility to make this business joint in such a corporation. In the same way, we recall that one of the managers of Siemens some time ago was working with Mr. Grigorishin, but the situation is that energy electrical market is limited. We have 5-7 famous people, owners of the distributing network, so some other goods, and of course it's normal that some personnel is migrating between these companies. There are a lot of employees of the tech, for example, who left the tech now and now they're working in other enterprises. But I don't think it means that if somebody from the tech, former employee of the tech, works in the Ministry of Energy or in Ukrenergo, in some other private enterprise or in Donbass and Negra, it doesn't mean that this is a spy from the tech and his only aim is to spoil the main activities of the enterprise he is working in, just to save the interest of his former employer. Sergei Golovnev, Insider. First of all, I would like to precise, because I was watching your online translations, there was a company Guess as a Service. It was presented some producer from Russia, producer of the transformer. I didn't really understand. They didn't give their bid. In the first part, there were the names of the company who officially requested the documents for tender bids, but it doesn't mean that they submitted their proposals. The The same story is with Zaporizhzhia enterprise. They wanted to participate. They sent the letters about their representatives, but in the day of submittal, they didn't submit their proposals. And one more question, more concrete. Do I understand in correct way that invest program for 2015 is this 2 billion that you should buy transformers for? No, it's other than information from Mr. Geras. All investment program of Ukrenergo is composed of 2 sources. No, 3 sources. There is third sources, but it's not significant. There are credit funds from international organization and tariff funds. This money that all of us are paying for the energy use. Also Ukrenergo is paying them. Investment programs of this year is about 7 billion hryvnias. It's according to the changes that we approved in July this year, and these changes were included into the big budget to buy transformers. And 4.9, there are credits of international finance organizations to reconstruct and to build new object together with EBRD, some other banks and other international finance organizations. From 2.1 billion hryvnia of investment program to purchase the transformers, only 800,000 hryvnia will go to transformers purchase. But you don't have time to spend this money this year, right? That's true. That's till the 20th of January next year, according to the agenda approved, we can spend money from last year's source for the full execution of investment program. So we hope to do it during this period of time. We hope that till 20th of January we can pay down payment to the winner. Most probably we'll have few winners, and they can have advance payments within this budget. But Ukrenergo, the same as other enterprises of energy market, are significantly underfinanced due to the lack of calculations from the side of some industrial consumers, from the side of non-controlled territories, because calculations in Lugansk regions is a complicated issue, and from the side of the population as well. That's why the deficit of the funds is big, and the part of them is and the deficit is 600,000 hryvnia. That for the services of electricity transformation, 600 millions. They're going to investment program, and all. And if you have tenders without saving, we would have lack of money in the amount it's foreseen by investment program. There are 22 electric units, but not all of them are transformers. There are transformers with one phase execution when one transformer is made from 3 units, so we can't make concrete. There are about 18. Out of them, there are 3 reactors, and there are reserve phase that can be installed as a replacement, but it's not the separate transformer, it's just the 1/3 part of the transformer. But there should be 36 of them. No, except for 23 units within this tender, we foreseen to purchase transformer and reactive equipment for the funds of international organizations, according to the tenders that were won by the contractors. Some of them are foreign, There are 6 reactors, and their financing is included into investment program of this year, but there are no tariff funds. There are funds from international organization. Наталка Прутка, главком. After we know the name of the person who will be the head of the tender committee, the members of the tender committee will report to him, I mean from the structure point of view. And the second question is,
temporary extraordinary measures on the market. It's understandable that Ukrenergo will play the main role in this. And briefly, the main points: what is the reason? What is the sum needed? How will you would you change tariffs? You don't understand the essence of this provision correctly. Can you give me the full picture? You are in the meetings of the Ukrenergo and coal, and why do companies cannot buy a necessary amount of coal? Could you give me the full picture? Oh, you asked a lot of questions. Maybe we will. I will answer. And speaking about the main issue, the members of the committee are independent from one another, and they are not subordinate to each other. And what we see, we won't do like this, that they can't be the subordinates of one another. And in order to avoid this influence of one person on the other, they will be specialists in this sphere, and other participants of this commission, members of this commission, they will be the employees of the companies, but they will be independent from one another. Of course, there are human factors, but some of them. This is a collegial body, so we should correlate these influences and make it by a simple vote. So all the documentation will be prepared and will be done, but two these directions will be independent from one another and from the head of the contest commission. Interfax Ukraine, maybe some comments or complaints that we heard. First, do I understand correctly that the decreased turnover of the company led to disqualification of this company? Look, the reason is that this enterprise that has a status of small enterprise according to the tax code, it provided a statement in writing that shows that the turnover this year. There was a sum. In the statement, it was less than minimally pointed by the documentation of the tender, but the sum is more and exceeds the maximum income of small enterprise. So they violated the laws, and this led to the fact that we excluded this enterprise from the tender. And the previous tender that was cancelled, it was done without pre-qualification stage. And why do you decide to change the procedure? In order to provide better guarantees for foreign companies. And I mean, we did it in order to allow foreign companies to take part in this tender, and this type was chosen to select decent participants who have financial resources, experience, and can or cannot be the producer of this type of equipment. So we broadened the circle of expected participants. And about Zaporizhzhia transformator. This enterprise was banned from tender, and they said that they won't take part in this tender. And what will be the result? Maybe you will lose. I won't comment on Grigoryshin's statement, but about Zaporizhzhia plant, the antitrust committee canceled the decision on the prohibition of this. It's a decision on the fact of from the law forbids the participation of the company in such cases. So the body that imposed this limitation, it lifted this limitation. That's why this enterprise can take part in any tender in the territory of Ukraine. It happened just before the tender, and first they banned them to take part, but then they lifted this ban, and they were accepted. And about the price, it will be about 28th, 29th of December. No one can tell you the price now. I hope that it will be the minimal price or it will be less than expected. As to the indicator, we have some indicators, but you cannot use it primitively. We have an average salary in Ukraine that is about several thousand hryvnias, but it doesn't mean that every Ukrainian who is now abroad, for example, has the same salary. And maybe the salary is more, maybe, but not the same salary as it is stated in the statistics. The same is about transformers equipment. So maybe it, I won't say about the figures. A starting figure is a spectrum, depending on the according to statistics of Ukrenergo and statistics of international organization, official information on procurement in Ukraine, the price is about $10.5 till $18 without VAT for 1 kilowatt amperes. It's a large range. Another question. Energatom said that they completed the work, and you said also that in Kiev also the works ended. And when on the 22nd, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, you will see the procedure. It will be broadcast on TV. And for the next year, about the programs, as I understand, do you plan to buy transformers additionally in the program investment project that was submitted in August this year? There will be 35 units of this equipment in 2016, but they didn't approve this decision already. It should be decided by the Commission. So firstly, and then I would be able to comment. It's an additional volume. And how much money do they need for this? When we see competitive price, then we will be able to see the average price. I won't comment on the prices that were established at the beginning of this year. And there are many arguments about it. I don't want this to be the subject for speculation. I want to get real propositions because it's maybe we can't speak about those prices and correlate them with these prices because of the currency exchange, and also from if we are speaking about other producers, you know that at a meeting in 2011 we had a meeting about Kakhovska station, and companies wanted to buy from transformers from Zaporizhzhia plant. This was ABB Mannheim with the Zurich, with headquarters in Zurich. It's not ABB Ukraine, and as we know, there are problems in is it true that we restored the import of electricity from Russia? No, we have enough electricity here in Ukraine. For us, the weather is good. I don't know what about agriculture, but for our sphere, for our enterprise, we don't have needs to import electricity from Russia. The maximum load for the there are blocks that can be connected to the network. So the last question.
Good day, my name is Oksana. Urgent oil survey, Vsevolod. If it's not about the lack of energy, so why did you have these force measures by the order of the Minister of Energy? As far as I know, there were clauses about limiting of energy export to Europe. The main factor was the lack of the coal of anthracite group, and it was reinforced after interrupting the energy supply into Crimea. There were lots of publications, speculations about, and taking into consideration that the rules of the market don't allow to select Ukrenergo, right? The blocks who can work or that won't work for this date or this particular time. We have no possibility to distribute generation between power stations that work on anthracite coals or on gas coils. So to let us the opportunity to track real supplies of the coal, we could reduce the volumes of the generation of some power stations, especially these ones that work with anthracite coals. That's why we needed this order. Take into consideration this having of the coal, it's required, but please don't compare the last year situation with what we have now. Now situation is much more better. It's 40. We have 40% more coal than last year. The weather is better, and the consequences of the emergency situation won't be the same as last year. We just want to save some anthracite coal. That's all. In the nearest 1 month, 1.5 months, there won't be this emergency situation. Thank you very much for such a good news. Dear colleagues, journalists, thank you for your questions. If you have any comments or additional questions, you can do it after the briefing. Thank you very much. Happy holidays, everybody.